Welcome to the Peeling Back Perfect podcast. It wouldn't be Peeling Back Perfect if it had not taken me so long to get to this place. Literally, everybody has asked me when I'm doing a podcast, dog, cat, hat, everybody. Okay, so here I am on the mic. And also, you're about to get some crazy lighting because the sun is going down. So, welcome. So I just want to welcome you into the space. Let's do that first. So let me get my spiel out the way. Welcome to the Perfect. Welcome to the Peeling Back Perfect podcast, a space where in a world that constantly pushes us towards perfection, we choose vulnerability instead. And here we strip away all the pressures of having it all together and embrace the messiness, the beautiful process that is itself, that is growth. This is your soft landing space. It's a community that's built on and grounded in empathy, authenticity, and real conversations. So, welcome to Peeling Back Perfect. Okay, let's get started with this week. Um, it wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be Peeling Back Perfect if it had not taken me forever to get to the point of recording, right? Okay. Procrastination. I was like, I'm going to do it after my birthday. I'm going to do it after Mardi Gras. And none of those things really happened. And now here I am in the Lenten season, which we'll get on Lent and my approach to Lent in just a minute. But I have been wanting to do this for a very long time, to connect with people in this way and really like say more than what TikTok gives me, more than what Instagram gives me on my story. I feel like I'm so limited in the amount of talking and yapping that I can actually do in a space there. And so long form content really felt like what would be needed for me. And so I'm super interested to get into like long form content. So we shall see how this podcast works. I will have another podcast project, but that is for Pivotal. And we'll go from there. If you didn't know, Pivotal is my baby. Pivotal is my little boo. That is my business. It is 5 years old this year. I'm going to have a party for Juneteenth for Pivotal. I'm oh, I'm learning how to DJ. So hopefully by Juneteenth, I can DJ enough to where I can DJ the party for Pivotal. But if you know me, I have harebrained ideas. I'm such a Capricorn. Like that is not new about me. I will, if I think it up, I can do it. And which is something really my parents instilled in me. And now that I'm older and I'm getting to talk to other people about the conversation they have with their parents or like how their parents treated them. Now, mind you, before we even get into the growth process and who I am and what this and that is, I was in therapy. You got to hit that therapy hard. I was in therapy for 7 years intensively doing EMDR. A lot of times, and I'll put something in the show notes about EMDR. A lot of times we just assume that talk therapy is going to be the answer for us. And like as a marginalized person in this country, sometimes talk therapy is not enough to undo the generational trauma that is passed on to you on top of just the trauma of living in the real world. And so off rip for any healing journey, any healing era, off top, got to hit that therapy and got to hit it hard. And so I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I loved my therapist. I haven't been able to really replace her since I moved to Texas. And part of it is, I think, because I started going to therapy in person and then we transitioned to virtual, that I'm more of a in-person therapy girl. So back to why this podcast is late. So I was like, I'm gonna get all of the debauchery out of my system at Mardi Gras. I'm gonna really let the spirit of Mardi Gras take me. If you know me, I'm from Let me see if you could get my little pillow. I'm from Alabama, so I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and I go home for Mardi Gras, and I go to New Orleans as well. Mobile's the original home of Mardi Gras. I'm not here to argue with you New Orleanians because I have my own culture. I understand my own culture. I celebrate it. I also still go to New Orleans because I also lived in New Orleans, and it also is a huge part of my life as well. It kind of like shaped me during my formative years. And so my Mardi Gras experience includes both of those places. And so I was like, I'm going to get all the debauchery out of my body. And then for Lent, I could fully submit myself to the Lord. And that's kind of where I am right now. And so I'm going to the gym every day. I'm reading every day. I'm working out every day. I'm drinking enough water for you, me, and somebody else every day. And now I'm in a place where I can really record these podcast episodes, which I'm super excited about. So if you don't know me, you just found me willy-nilly, you know nothing about me, this is my time to introduce myself. So my name is Jasmine, like I said. I am the founder of an organization that really helps people to create fertile ground in organizations, and then organizations in turn find more people of color to be able to go there. I'm a DEI strategist. Ooh, I forgot you can't say DEI. It's 125. That's such a charge word. But I've been a DEI strategist, and I'm not a snake oil DEI strategist. A lot of people got on board with DEI in 2020 to make a fast buck, and that was never my claim to fame. I have been running around saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, pretty much my whole life. My dad is super militant. If he ever see this, he will crack up. But my dad's super militant, and like I grew up just in a place of seeing black people in power, and like knowing what that looks like. And when I got to corporate America, I felt like there was whiplash. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't really identify or align itself with what I grew up with. I was like, what the hell is this? I haven't even also decided if I'm cursing on this podcast or not. Probably so. Since it's me and we're really gonna get into some things, probably so. So yeah, I have always kind of been this person. So I started Pivotal 5 years ago, which was around the time of the snake oil people, but I am not in the mix with them. I even have a master's in DEI. I really got into DEI deeper when I got into the classroom and I was really studying cultural responsive pedagogy. It was like something that I was really interested in. My first school was in the Ninth Ward, and then I moved to the West Bank in Tarrytown. And so I got to see a new American community, and I just saw the impact of really teaching students to their culture and like what that meant like for belonging for them. Because a lot of times when we talk about DEI, we think about the workplace and being grown, but children also need a safe place to learn and grow and do all of those things the same as us as adults. And so that's how I originally got into DEI. I'm not a snake or DEI person. I'm really about the work. I really care a lot about community. I care a lot about people, and just overall, like empathetic leadership and DEI are probably the two things that you could just like, as soon as you see me, I'm gonna be talking about equity. And if something's not equitable, I'm gonna be talking about how, and if I go somewhere and there's not a ramp, I'm gonna be talking about how we don't have accessibility for people with disabilities. Or if I see something like Vogue, we see you. We saw the ad you just put out with Gigi Hadid talking about its hairspray and not a single fat body in the whole thing, craziness. So yes, that's kind of where I am. It kind of tells you a little bit about me: personal brand, architect, narrative strategist, DEI person, storytelling, multi hyphenate, huge Beyonce fan, and aspiring DJ. Aspiring DJ. So like everything at the crux of my work is really about people getting what they deserve and landing on fertile ground. So let's talk about perfectionism and showing up. Yeah, it's the first episode. You thought it was the introduction. No, we're really getting into it. Also, if you have questions or you want to submit for advice, I think after a while I start doing advice. You could email me at jasminefluker.com. My website should be up in like a week. Again, we're pulling back perfection. The part of the website that I'm on, I had built out a whole website, loved it down to the ground. And then I saw some better options. And so I have reached out to the lady to create something custom for me, and she has to overlay it over my site. So my website should be back pretty soon, but me at JasmineFluker.com is up and rolling daily. Um, Now let's talk about podcasting, because that's cringe, right? Talking on the mic to yourself is cringe. I'm in my office on the floor. That's all of these things are cringe, and sharing my thoughts is very cringe. I grew up in a way where I feel like you have to be on a little bit, like I would say that's lame. Like me, I would tell myself starting a podcast is lame. Girl, what are you doing? But um everybody's requested it of me. I feel pulled to do it. I have some things to share. I think the healing journey is not linear. It's very scribbly. And people make everything feel so shiny these days. Like you get on Instagram, it's very aesthetic. I think that's why we love TikTok so much more. Because it's not that aesthetic. And you can kind of like be yourself on TikTok. But you get on Instagram and everything is shiny, everything's aesthetic. And it's like people are lying. And I'm just not interested in lying. I always say that. I'm not interested in lying. I always say that about when people are like posting their my man, my man. I'm not interested in lying. That's just not my thing. Now, if you want to really get into some truth telling, you could catch me there. But I'm just not big on that line. And so, that being said, this year I've really been pushing myself to go past my point of comfort. For me, I made up every excuse in the books and I started this podcast, and here we are. It obviously didn't work. Like here we are, and I'm actually doing the thing, but I also have been giving myself grace this year to be not great at stuff. Like I started some stuff, and 6 months down the line, I'm probably gonna look at this episode and I'm gonna cringe, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, what were you even doing? Like you look stupid. The setup wasn't right. We don't like it." But I'm allowing myself permission to be not great at something at first. That's so funny because I think they're the lead. Brene Brown is the one that's on the top. We love Brene. I remember, just a side note, I went on a trip with another author and she tried to disparage Brene, baby, not in my house. I would defend Brene. We love Brene Brown. But yes, like we're showing up messy, imperfect, and real. That's really what's going on. So if you tired of faking it, you tired of curating your life, or you're just tired of feeling like you have to have everything together all of the time, then you're in the right place. And so part of me like getting started has been I'm sick of my own shit. Like part of it is like I'm sick of my own shit, and we could do this differently. We could actually do this better. Hold on, let me put this up here so we can really get into it. We could do this better, and we don't have to be in this way. So I'm giving up perfectionism. I'm okay with being seen, and I'm giving myself permission to be seen. So what is so interesting about right now? So at the beginning of 2025, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been on a revenge arc. I had went to a job last year for about 10 weeks that had played on my top. They had played on my top. They told me one thing, they sold me a dream. I got in the job, everything was shambles. And I know I'm not the only one that's experienced this. I got in the job and everything is burning down. I'm literally utilizing every skill I've ever had. And they're also burning me on, like whipping me all around the state all the time. And so I quit the job. I quit after a short amount of time. I felt a lot of guilt and shame with that. I don't think people are often honest about when you quit a job, you feel a little bit of guilt and a little bit of shame about leaving. And so much, wait a minute, it's coming to me, I'm cooking. And so much of our identity is wrapped up in work that you no longer feel like yourself. So I've been in situations where I've gotten laid off, and situations where I have left a job. Getting laid off almost felt like a violation. Because I feel like I didn't do nothing wrong. Like, my hands are up. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. But somehow I'm being punished because we didn't make enough money or we didn't hit the bottom line. And somehow I'm deduced to a number on a spreadsheet. So that didn't feel great. And then in spaces where I've quit the job, now I'm dealing with the guilt and shame of leaving a job. And I got to be honest, when I told my family, they did not want to hear it. And now I'm a girl that's always got it figured out. Let's be real. I left home at 18, and the amount of times that I've asked for something has been very minimal. I am not like, my parents have not paid my way. I've been always, I'm a figure it out and I'm a figure it out type girl. And so me telling my family that I left my role and them questioning if it was the right thing to do really felt hard for me. Like, vulnerably, I'll be honest, like, I felt kind of betrayed by them because I told them that I wasn't feeling well. Like, I was getting chronic migraines, and stress is really a killer, especially for Black women. And so for my family to not be in full support of me leaving a job was kind of a difficult pill to swallow. I think part of it is the generational trauma of, are you going to be okay? And also, shit is high right now, so don't be calling us asking for no money. So, like, are you going to be able to figure it out? But then also, I felt bad because I would assume that my family would know me enough to know that I was going to be okay to figure it out. And besides that, I'm a Capricorn bitch that always have my I'm always railing. I'm never gonna be without money. It's just not gonna, catching me with broke is, it's just not gonna happen. Now I don't know if I was rich in a past life or what was going on, but I just, the way my eyes divert to the finer things, my eyes should not even be. I had got an email, I think it was from Louis Vuitton or Chanel, or it might have been LV because I've purchased from them in the store. And I had got a purchase email from LV, and I was like, why would they even send me that? Like, I shouldn't even begin this at a time like this. But it's just like, I love the finer thing. I love aesthetics. I love aesthetics for the thing. The reason is I like pretty things. I don't love aesthetics because everything has to be curated. Because when we talk about sameness, we're talking about stripping away culture, right? So I'm in front of my Black Lady Green couch. That's a running joke. Every Black woman has this green velvet couch. This one is in my office. It's not my main couch. So I'm a little bit different. But like, just the fact that, and when you see maximalist decor, because I study home decor quite a bit. When you see maximalist decor, it's oftentimes associated with people of color, and that's because we don't fit into the hierarchical, like, boxes of everything being the same. That's why I get a little bit sad when I see the all white apartments, all white aesthetic, everything is white in here, there's no culture in here, and like, who lives here? Because I think curated spaces should tell a story of who you are, and we shouldn't be forced into like all being the same. I get very nervous when I see that clothing, and I just wrote about this recently, how like the shift to conservatism is a part of like a larger messaging here. Because when I saw that PLT rebrand, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was quite alarmed. I said, "Oh my God, we're going back to the Handmaid's Tale." Red was the color of the season for like 2 years in a row. It was giving very Margaret Atwood. It's just like, if you're not paying attention to what's going on, then you're quickly consumed with what can happen, because PLT is now selling oversized Mormon clothes. And who asked for that? And I was just talking to my friend because she was like talking about ethical fast fashion. And I told her, I'm fat. my fashion is never going to be equitable because everybody already doesn't have clothes for me. And with the rise of Ozempic, people are not making clothes for fat people anymore, and that's just the truth. And you can argue with whoever you want about that. Like you can argue with your mama, but that's the truth. Like nobody is making, like, plus size clothing is going away. In store clothing is going away. Brick and mortar shops are closing, and what we have left is online retailers. And so because of that, my clothing is not going to be ethical because I live in a larger body. And one thing that I've learned probably in the last maybe a couple of years, it's like I'm not arguing with anyone on the experience of what it's like to be like in a fat body that hasn't experienced it. You actually, if you've never experienced being in a fat body, you actually don't have anything to say to the topic. You actually don't have anything to contribute because there's no way that you could possibly grasp and understand what we have been through. There's no way. And this is me. I'm still in a larger body and I have lost 115 pounds in my life, working off a few of them that I had gained back, but still, I lost 115 pounds. And so I understand the world differently. I have navigated the world differently, and I have seen people when they are literally in disgust of you. They don't want to sit by you. They don't want to be around you. And I have seen people treat me very, very poorly. And so if you have not been in a larger body, then you don't have anything to say on that topic. And that just goes for a lot of things. Like, people have a lot to say about dark skinned women. If you are not a dark skinned woman, I'm going to need you to be quiet because that's not your space to speak of. I think there could be so much growth on the colorism concept in the colorism conversation if lighter skinned people did not try to gaslight us. And do not let these ring lights and lights fool you. I'm a dark skinned individual. I'm a darker skinned woman. And when the sun, my foundation is the literal color of milk chocolate. And when the sun hits me, I get dark chocolate really, really quick. So just a frame of reference. The easiest way for me to find a shade for me is to find what's the same as milk chocolate. Okay. Said those things. Not playing small this year. Nobody should be playing small. We got a lot to prove. And so I have, just to loop myself back around, I have been on a revenge arc because I don't know why anybody would play on my top like that. And so the sky is the limit this year. The world is my oyster, and I'm going to do the things that I want to do. So no self-doubt, no fear, none of those things. I've been gave up. What is the one? Imposter syndrome. That just don't even apply to me and like who I am. I've done far too much work in this life to be ever feeling like an imposter. And if you feel like you are suffering with imposter syndrome, then go ahead and do the work of unlearning that, because there's no way that you have made it to this point in being an imposter. And by the way, everybody is making shit up. If we are being honest, everybody's making shit up. So if you've ever felt like that, then I'm here to tell you, I'm your big sis. I'm a one up you. What do you feel imposter syndrome behind? Because I've launched a business. Now I'm starting a podcast. I've launched a few businesses actually. Let's really roll the tape back. I've launched a few businesses and now I'm starting a podcast, and this is like a little homegirl chat. Like, this is my space. And you can take a breath, you can relax, you can do your skincare routine as this plays, because you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And I think people have gotten it misconstrued. We have curated our lives to the point of no return, and that's not necessary. I can do these things, and so what? And so I spoke on it a little bit earlier, but I think being in a larger body really taught me, because I traveled the world at that size. I actually travel more than I do now. The economy is a little bit better. I actually traveled the world at that size. I was in Africa all the time. I hiked. I did all of these things, and sometimes very uncomfortably, but I pushed myself to do these things. But being in a larger body really taught me that nothing could hold me back. Nothing in this life can hold me back. And I'm 34 years old, and I'm about maybe halfway, maybe a little bit under halfway, depending on how I work out and how things land in this life. And so to think about, a lot of us are at midlife quicker than we feel like. And I'm not going to let anything else slip past me without doing it. I really hope I'm putting a battery in your back to really do the things that you want to do. And so I think And I think what's important for this opening episode is that we embrace cringe as a creative act. Um, and so the things I'm feeling cringe about at the moment, besides being on this podcast, is like I have to post a lot on LinkedIn right now for visibility for my business. And at first I felt really, really cringe about it, but now people are like hitting me up. I've went viral a few times. And now it feels like I'm getting into my zone. And like there are anything that I step into and tap into creatively for the first time, the second time, the third time, it's gonna be messed up. Like you gotta allow yourself to be fucked up. Like I have to give myself a chance to do it wrong before I can do it right. I scrolled back to old TikToks. I actually archived every TikTok I had on my page at one point. See, people don't tell you this part. I actually archived every TikTok I had on my page at one point because I was like, these no longer identify with who I am. But I had learned through the process of being messy that I could continue to do it and land in a place. And so I did it. I got through it, and then I got better. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. So in 6 months, when I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. Let's scrap it out. Let's scrap it all. Throw it all away. I know on the other side of cringe, on the other side of awkward is the growth. And I hope everybody leaves like thinking that, like on the other side of what I feel uncomfortable about is where I'm going to grow. So this is my final reflection. Let's just keep it real. I want you to think about one thing that you've been putting off or you feel awkward about or uncomfortable about. Is it a new project? Is it posting a vulnerable story online? Is it having a tough conversation with somebody? Well, like what are you running from? Because let's stop doing that. Whatever it is, I want you to push through it this week. It took me a few weeks to get to this podcast, but hey, do what I say, not what I do. And if you do it, tag me on social media. All of my handles are like curated by J _ and then put the hashtag peeling back perfect, and we can celebrate cringe worthy moments together, because this year we're not waiting for perfect. We're showing up messy. We're showing up awkward. We're showing up real. Like I said, what did I say lately on that post? I said stay loud and stay strategic about people with DEI. It's just that we have been in such a blender since January, since the fascist regime has taken over this country, and that's probably going to get the podcast flagged in itself. Just me saying that off rip is probably probably not a great time. But just like since January, how many pockets of joy have you been able to find? I told you the one that was most important to me, and right now I'm kind of backwards planning my summer. I have to say a little bit about that before I move forward. Summer is coming up, and I need to let me tell you something. I need to summer like I've never summered before. Okay? I keep telling my family we need to be outside greased up like some 2000s video vixens, just shaking like Shamar Moore in the sun. We have to summer like I've never summered before. And because of that, I'm very clear on what I need to do. I'm very clear that I have to be in the gym. I'm very clear that I have to eat right. I'm very clear that I have to get my skincare super tight. I'm very clear that I need a little bag that can go and take a punch, a beating. I actually have a list. The list in the notes if that's really what y'all want to see. But I actually have a list of like what needs to be in place to have a really great summer. And if the summer doesn't come on feeling like, hey Marie, why don't we fall in love? Then I'm not doing it right. I'm obviously not doing it right. And I need to go back to the drawing board and start over. But anyway, this has been a great yap section. I have so much time doing this podcast. But until next time, take care of yourself, keep it real, and remember, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Any questions, hit me up at me at jasminefluker.com. My website is jasminefluker.com. It'll be up in like a week or 2 weeks. And then if you're interested in any of the equity and inclusion work that I do, that is pivotalparadigmproject.org. All of these things will be in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, my loves, and I hope you come back and see me again.